How's it going, everyone, and welcome to a slightly late episode of No Excuses on VTWProductions.com and YouTube.com. And the favorite show hosts are still
Arian
and Volacel, and we're here to bring you the latest news and commentary on the video games industry for the week that has been, although it wasn't a huge amount of news. But if you would like to get involved with the show, you can do so by sending us email at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com, or you can follow us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw, or you can join us in our Discord server, which you can get to by clicking on the link that will be provided in the show description underneath the show archive on YouTube.
Meals. So, on the stream today, I'm playing nothing. For the moment, anyway. I will be playing a bit of Volcanoids. Yeah, we're actually playing a bit of online multiplayer Monster Hunter Stories 2, which neither of us has a card to capture on that, so we can show you. Which is probably just as well because we're fighting Cephadrome.
Yeah, it's not the most riveting of all monsters.
No.
Except when he falls in a trap and starts flopping around, which is hilarious.
I forget, he's tech, isn't he? No, he's speed.
Yeah, he's speed. Don't poach my double attack.
Oh, right.
I need it.
So, we're trying to get our head around how the multiplayer works and how everything goes on. Because I did spend a good chunk of my gaming time this week actually pushing to the end of the game. Which wasn't bad. The ending was satisfactory. You discover, however, that the protagonist is a gormless mute by choice, which is kind of annoying.
You're supposed to interpret it as them being the strong, silent type.
No, you're being a difficult twerp.
That's true.
And more the point,
really
you stand back and allow Navaru to do the talking for you. You can actually do your kinship, so I'm going to...
I'm not going to, though. I'm going to power up once.
Yep. So yeah, multiplayer. It basically involves, for what we've been doing anyway, is delving into monster dens and harvesting eggs and getting very angry that Cephadrome exists.
Yes, because unfortunately Cephadrome does exist.
I mean, Plesios also exists, but at least Plesios has the memes. Cephadrome doesn't even have memes.
I don't want to waste a turn.
Yeah, I'll Sonic Bomb him so you can kinship him. I also have a dog behind me.
If I use kinship, it goes first by default.
Oh, right.
So we have to just wait.
So
Cephadrome is just the worst.
Cephadrome is just the absolute worst. Also, so is this dog. Shut up.
Oh my goodness, it's not even going to come out.
No.
It's just going to sit down there and be the worst monster of all time.
It's not even going to attack. It's just going to sit there, uselessly. So yeah, the story itself is pretty much just, completely paint by the numbers, as you might expect.
Well, I mean, let's just say that Monster Hunter isn't known for its incredible narrative finesse.
No. Except for Gormagala. Gormagala was good.
Yeah, a lot of people want Gormagala to come back.
Are you going to use a Sonic Bomb this turn?
I guess I don't have much of a choice, do I?
Because otherwise it's just going to sit there and be completely worthless.
Just the worst imaginable monster. Yeah, it is literally just sitting there.
Yeah, it's just sitting there. It's stupid. Get out. Horrible, useless thing. And this is why Cephadrome is the worst monster. So, yeah, the story is... It didn't do anything new. It was like, yeah, okay, here is the bad guy. Here is, for some reason, a rather normal and very intelligent person suddenly goes off the deep end and decides they want to destroy the world for absolutely no reason.
Yeah, they didn't really cover that. It's like, he doesn't have much, like, a long history of being in a end of the world cult or anything like that.
Yeah, you go back to the village where the, he's what passes for the bad guy.
He's basically just the Wyverian equivalent of Extinction Rebellion in the UK.
Oh, so he didn't glue himself to anything stupid.
Well, he's an eco-terrorist.
Yeah.
Like he's like, man, the world would be so much better if it was destroyed and stuff. The human order comes to an end.
And it just says up and says, nah. And that's basically it. That's his story over. I mean, he does get Guardian Ratha killed. Sort of.
Yeah, that wasn't cool. He didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
Just kind of a dick move all round, to be honest.
Although, the actual cutscene where Guardian Ratha dies, I think was lacking an om nom nom sound effect. It was a bit comical.
Yeah. But I prefer not to dwell too much on. You're fighting a Plesioth now, really.
Yeah, he just parked his fat ass right in the path.
I tend not to dwell too much on a topic of Monster Hunter writing because it's just it's not going to stop being disappointing anytime soon.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's it. The writing wasn't fun. Wasn't anything special, but the ending was still satisfying. Like the bad guy, the big monster ultimately ended up being precisely where everyone expected it to be. Underneath your hometown.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's like only two places that the final boss can be in. It's either in the ruins at the far fringes of the world, or underneath the starting town. And in this case, it was both.
Yes. The starting town just happens to be on the fringes of the world.
And it's like there are ancient ruins underneath it because reasons.
Yeah. There was a bit of an arse pull during the last fight too, because you get the big legendary monster and it's unstoppable, and then all of a sudden Enna's necklace, which has never been mentioned at this point, turns out to be the key to killing it.
No, actually that was 110% of Shekhov's gun because they made such a big deal about her being given it.
I completely missed that then. Or completely
It was
forgot about it.
It's at the very start of the game. Right. Well, not the very start, but like when you leave the Wyverian town to go off on your big adventure, they make a big deal about giving her this necklace, though they never explain why or what its significance is.
Okay, so it's one of those events that I've just completely glossed over then.
It's one of those things that I literally spent the entire game waiting to see when Chekhov's gun would go off.
And I completely forgot about it. So it was, because I completely forgot about this little moment in the game, it came across as a complete arsepull. So, well, that happened. So yeah, multiplayer. A lot of the post-game seems to revolve around basically building up your monsters to take on bigger and bigger challenges. Like, eventually we are going to go fight Elder Dragons and then the Deviants. Thank you. Having a brain fart there. Like, I try to go and do the Fatal 4 dungeon right from the get-go.
I'll give you props for ambition.
Well, I wanted to go in there and get a Glavenus. And it's
but I never would have even attempted it, myself. It just I don't have it in me to do something so reckless and unlikely to work.
Well, I didn't actually research properly what was in there before, so I was thinking, okay, Fated 4 dungeon, even though there's 5 of them, it's going to have Glavenus in there. I'll go get a Glavenus. The game just said, ha ha, Glavenus, here's Hellglade Glavenus. Yeah, I fought that thing for 30 turns, burnt through all of my heart items, and I didn't even have it nearly dead. Oh, it's power now, right. I have to pay attention to what this Plesioth is doing.
Being a Plesioth.
Is he going to use the meme attack? I don't think it's used the meme attack yet.
Hyperspace tackle.
But that was fun. Apparently, even on the regular expedition, actually, you can get Elder Dragon eggs, but you might need to burn a gold ticket in order to get them at a decent rate. And that seems to be where we've hit the snag, because everything in multiplayer, or almost everything that's worth doing in multiplayer, needs tickets, and tickets require bottle caps. Bottle caps require you to do the dungeons that you need the tickets to get into.
Well, you can get them in regular high rank dungeons, but not at a particularly wonderful rate.
No, if you need a few, you go and farm an Everdeen or two.
Well, you can't farm every dens. That's the thing. You can only clear them once.
Yeah.
But regular dens can, in the post game, do drop bottle caps, but in very, very small numbers.
So, yeah. Oh, there we go. Dead Plesioth. A lame Plesioth.
Not as lame as Cephadrome, but still pretty lame.
Yeah. Pretty lame. So yeah, that's basically been my week, really. It's just been pushing through Monster Hunter Stories. I haven't done a whole lot in Final Fantasy, largely because it's the Moogle event, and I just went and started farming the Moogle tomestones. Which actually did involve doing a bit of PvP.
Wow, you must really want one of those rewards.
It seemed the most efficient way to do it, and it was about as dull as you might. 14.
Yeah, I just don't, I've never done the PvP before. I've heard that it basically dumbs your class down.
Yeah, it does. It strips a lot of the classes down to a few core mechanics. Like going in there and machinist, I get hypercharge, and that's it. Also, wildfire. That you can't use wildfire in multiplayer because every time someone sees that big red bomb attached to it, they run away. What are we getting for eggs?
I'm sure that there is a very dedicated community who really like it, but I've never really seen the appeal. It's just not, the game's not really built for it. And retrofitting it in there, I mean, that's fine for those who, you know, are really desperate to play it, but I just don't see the point.
Monobloss egg? I'll take a monobloss egg. Oh wait, it's a regular monobloss egg. Never mind.
Oh my goodness, this is terrible. I haven't gotten a single rare egg. I just keep getting garbage.
Ah, gold! Gold egg!
Oh,
That's Black Diablos, I think.
oh no.
Oh no! So unfortunately, you guys can't see any of this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel
y'all
kind
are,
of bad about that.
Yeah.
y'all are sitting here spending most of this time talking about a game that I get the full viewer experience for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just the way it be, because for some reason, there's like one company has cornered the streaming equipment market, and as such, it's very, very expensive.
Yeah. Even though the Switch does use USB, was it Mini C or whatever? Basically, the cable that everybody uses, you still need a adapter card for it.
That's deeply frustrating, really, because I don't understand the design logic that went into the Nintendo Switch. Like, you put a universal serial bus socket on the thing, but it doesn't work with anything at all.
It works with its own dock, which apparently it decodes it, and that's it.
That's the only thing that you can do. Like, you can't. There's no way to. I think I've heard that there's some like really obtuse way that you used to be able to hack it, but generally speaking, I think we're down to the point where it's like you can't even do something like plug a Bluetooth transmitter in there or anything like that.
The most
to get
annoying
the audio,
part,
you can't.
I think the most annoying part is there's an option in the menu where you go in there, you turn that on, and then you can hook it up to your computer and download screenshots and video clips. But you can't just, capture live. And that, I think, is the most annoying part.
I wonder if it's their like bizarre obsession with managing their intellectual properties or something, because it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't understand. Why choose USB? Why not use a proprietary socket instead of a USB socket that doesn't work? It's very frustrating to me.
So,
and why is it that the Nintendo Switch has Bluetooth, but you cannot use it for your audio?
That's true.
It boggles the mind.
So I wonder why.
There's just no logic to it whatsoever.
I'm just gonna wallop this Gypsyros because but this is purple Gypsyros. Regular Gypsyros is also purple.
Yeah, but it's a different shade of purple.
Yeah, I never noticed
It's
that
more like,
before.
less violet and more lavender.
Yes. I mean, it's the same color once Nacilla peels it and wears its skin.
Nacilla's gross.
Nacilla
Not
is
as
just
gross as Percy
horrible.
though.
Let's see, I'm actually gonna have a quick. Like, yeah, Elgato's. You're looking about $150
Still,
for a
that-
capture card because it's
that
all
is gonna go
Elgato.
down in price. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there are lots of brands. Maybe if you go to like Amazon, there's like a gajillion different brands or something. But the only ones that they sell around here are Elgato ones.
Yeah. I think Amazon's pretty much just Elgato now. It's either Elgato or really cheap, nasty knockoff brand. There was another brand at one point. What happened to that?
Well, they come and go
Yeah.
depending on how well they're doing. But I think that Elgato has just become synonymous with it since, you know, when people want to know how to stream stuff, they will ask a streamer and the streamer will tell them and they will get that one. But because the streamers are all using the same equipment, then that's the only equipment people buy and becomes sort of self-reinforcing.
Yeah. Cephadrum egg.
My condolences.
Uh,
Yeah.
That's a Tigrex egg. I'll take a Tigrex egg. Yeah, some eggs are
No.
very distinctive in their colouring, at least. What is that?
And some are not.
Oh,
Nagakuku doesn't make any sense.
that was you. Okay. I thought
No,
something
no.
angry was about to come chew on my face.
You're not being savaged by a Nugante. But, yeah, so. Is that it for your week?
That's pretty good, yeah. Been still chipping away at New World a little bit, just to hang around with some friends. And it does become increasingly unplayable on when you're crossing the Pacific Ocean, though. Oh. What have you done?
Okay, so this is the worst possible scenario. It is my opinion in Monster Hunter Stories 2, Tigrex is the single most dangerous monster. Tigrex and its variants are the single most dangerous monster in the game because they get more turns per turn than anybody else, and it's not close. At least
Yeah.
that's been my experience anyway.
Regular Tigrex starts as power?
No, speed.
Oh, yeah, Brute starts as power. So, yeah. There's boss fights where monsters will get multiple attacks per turn, but Tigrex just gets it because it's Tigrex.
He's just that angry.
He's just a very angry boy. At least, like, Brute Tigrex is just an angrier Tigrex, and then you've got the Deviant Tigrex above that, which just has like 3 or 4 attacks per turn. Yeah. At most, you can counter 1. Maybe 2 if you're playing multiplayer, because the AI companions can. Case in point, my tech type Astalos is deciding to do the entire.
Yeah. Why would you do this, Estelos? You're supposed to be a bro, but no. You're dumb as a box of rocks.
Sometimes you get that. The
That's,
AI just decides, you know what? I'm going to do the worst possible attack here. It's Mitsuru all over again.
Yep.
I think what else I actually did this week. That's not about it. I didn't even watch any anime.
Yeah. You're still crazy busy at work.
Yeah, it's shaping up to be crazy busy until Christmas at this point. We've got our final Drunk Cowboy event of the year coming up this coming week, and then hopefully things will start to even out a bit more. This Astalos is just going to do whatever it feels like, so you know what? Yeah. I also should probably pay attention to the game properly because I'm doing dumb things myself. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my week. Vol, what have you done?
I would like to say that I had a much more edifying week than you, but I didn't have a much more edifying week than you because I spent the first half of the week feeling sick and not really accomplishing very much of anything. So gaming wise, it has been Sable Wars 2 started this week, and so that means that the banner of Infinite Salt was up, and I blew 600 quartz and a pile of tickets on that, and I did in fact get Space Ishtar. I got one
Nice.
copy of her. I was sort of hoping for more than that because she suffers pretty badly from damage breakpoints due to it being a neutral against most classes since she's an Avenger. But I got her anyway, which is, if nothing else, a reasonable starting point. Okay, now it's power.
Now,
Yeah, she's got a huge damage bonus in this event though, so I haven't really been able to get a sense for her effectiveness as such, because she pretty much does what she wants with the amount of damage boosts she's got. Interesting having the ability to change my my Noble Phantasm type, especially since there's so much RNG associated with her buffs. So it's kind of useful to be able to, because she's got an 80% chance to give quick up, 80% chance to give buster up, 80% chance to give arts up when she uses one of her abilities. On one occasion so far, I've got none. What are you doing, Fern? Get up.
falling down and then getting up again.
But when you miss one of them or two of them, you can just move your Noble Phantasm to whichever ones you did get, which is useful. But the main use, of course, is to work with whichever card color meta you happen to have the means to employ. Are you going to use your kinship this turn?
No.
No. Okay, I'll pass a turn then.
We can force him to skip 2 turns by using them one after another. Which with Tigrex, that's more valuable.
Yeah. So yeah, that as far I did get her. I also got 5 copies of Calamity Jane, who I don't care for at all.
Oh yeah, she's a thing, isn't she?
Yeah, she's basically a cheerleader. Like, she literally pulls out pom-poms during the fight.
But why though?
I approve of this.
Oh my goodness, I didn't even realize there was a timer warning.
Oh dear. I can't ride because my kinship got knocked back down because I used a skill. Because I am
I'm going to attempt to wipe this guy off the map. Although I don't have enough damage to do it right now, but I'm going to try anyway because we need to get rid of him. Running out
Yeah.
of time. Yeah, so I've been doing the event, but it's been very hard for me to motivate myself to do it because they've put challenge quest difficulty quests into the mission list by the looks of things, which I've come to really dislike challenge quests because more and more they lean on RNG, and apparently from what the chatter I've been seeing, that one of them in this event is the most famously obnoxiously RNG quest of all,
Oh.
in that it depends entirely on the face cards that you are dealt, because each of the targets has a 80% resistance against damage unless you hit them with a particular card type that varies between the targets before you start.
Right.
So if you happen to get dealt cards which just don't suit your targets, you just can't do anything of note that turn. So there are a lot of people say that, oh no, just take your Mystic Code that allows you to shuffle cards, use Ruler Artoria as your damage dealer since she's got a skill that allows you to shuffle cards, because being able to shuffle cards is more powerful than having a decent strategy because it's so heavily RNG. Of course, there are probably strats which, when you structure it correctly, will just allow you to wipe the floor with them, and there's lots of damage buff CEs, so I'll probably try and push that to the very end of the event where I've got the maximum amount of damage buffs possible, and try and just unga bunga my way through it, as they say.
Yeah. Instantly, that egg you picked up is Brachydios.
Ugh.
You got to put some boogers on things.
Yeah, it's not as normal as this kind of crappy genes. So Monobloss's speed and then power when enraged.
Yes.
So yeah, the event in and of itself, other than mechanics, I also have not been that engaged with. It's a Servant Universe event, which means it's basically a comedy event, but I feel like they don't sort of understand what they're doing, because how do I explain? Servant Universe stories are only fun when they are being ridiculous, and they are trying too hard to make the Servant Universe setting a real setting as opposed to a joke. So we keep getting these exposition dumps on the lore of the Servant Universe when the Servant Universe's lore is just absurd to begin with. Like, you can't make coherent lore about this setting. It's not built for it.
It's just too silly.
It's not really silly. I just like, and it's not that it's too silly. It's like, how do I explain? It's like they're wasting your time giving serious explanations for something that doesn't benefit from them.
Okay. Instead of just saying, this is just it. Let's just do this thing.
Yeah, it's not taking the ridiculousness for granted. It's going out of its way to try and justify the ridiculousness.
Yeah, that never works.
Yeah, there's no point to it. It's nonsense. I don't understand what the purpose of attempting this is. But yeah, at any rate. And the other thing about it that it doesn't appeal to me is that it is super, super blatantly written to appeal to, like, the hardest of the hardcore Rin simps.
Well, yes.
Like, huge amounts of, like, well, I'm overselling it a bit here, but there are just lots and lots of things which is just like dialogues where the master, self-insert character that you are is just meaninglessly flirting with Rin.
Right.
For
what,
no,
actual
no
Rin
real
or just a Rin
benefit.
face?
Well, it's a Rin face, but Space Ishtar, when she's in her sort of second ascension, is the closest Rin to actual Rin in the cast, because she's actually raised by the Servant Universe's Tokiomi and has the same sort of approximate character as Rin Tosaka. Right. So yeah, it's
yeah, she's about as Rin as you can get without being Rin.
She's written for this purpose. That's the thing. She's written for the Rin Simps so that they can have the opportunity to flirt with this character, and it's just like
they can have their tsundere waifu.
Yeah, if you do not hardcore waifu Rin, this is just like meaningless dialogue that you don't care about when you just want to move the story along.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a lot about the writing that I'm not that interested in. I mean, it's not like it's exceptionally bad in any way. We need to really pick up the pace here, actually.
We do.
5 minutes to clear this dungeon.
5 minutes
before we run out of time. Just hit a button. Yeah, abide by the axiom that it is better to make a bad decision than no decision.
Sonic bomb him, by the way. He's going to go underground.
Oh.
Because.
But yeah, so
yeah.
Go on. Yeah. So yeah, it's an okay event. It's an okay event. There's not really much to praise about it, and there's not really anything other than matters of my personal preference to criticize about it. I would criticize that it replaces the Halloween event, which deprives my beloved Liz of her opportunity to steal the spotlight, or at least attempt to steal the spotlight, and then become the comic relief in the process. But at least she has damage buffs in this event, so that I have got an excuse to use her. That's something at least. But yeah, so I am much, much poorer on the quartz, and that's painful to think about. However, you got to roll with the punches. Yeah, so that's FGO. And the rest of my time, of which there was very little, was put into Final Fantasy. Although I haven't really done anything of great note, other than Ari and I have started the chain of Alliance raids, which are the crossover from Nier Automata.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And they they seem to be mainly an aesthetic affair more than anything else. Although
They have finally crammed in the mega narrative right in the quest you stopped at when you went to go play with Fern, and I kept going for like an hour and a half on the story. So they finally are directly tying it story-wise to the Nier universe, and by all appearances, Final Fantasy XIV story is canon to the branching timelines.
Makes as much sense as anything else in the Nier universe.
That you will see a giant white testicle in the middle of an area. Don't worry, it's Shoko Taro.
Oh, right, of course.
And
just don't ask questions.
This thing is called a Seed of Destruction. They don't tell you this in the game because nobody in this universe knows that. And I have not seen an NPC mention it, but these things are bad news, reality warping, bad news. And anybody that touches one gets absorbed into one, and comes out as a reality warping monstrosity for the most part. Although some people can touch them, and a new life form can come out not related to them at all. It can have its own will, but it's incredibly rare. Most of the time, they just produce monstrosities.
Right.
So that thing is powerful enough to warp 2B and her friends over to this universe and make this whole story canon. And we haven't seen these things since Drakengard 1.
This is just deeply confusing, but that's...
So basically, they are raising the stakes really, really high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For all of those who happen to actually know anything about it.
Yeah, these things are world-ending calamities when they appear. If just one of them is touched, the world's over.
So, see a floating testicle, no touchy.
Yeah, don't touch that thing. You'll notice conspicuously, they make sure none of the characters in the cutscene touch that stupid thing.
Yeah, so I guess it's got its rewards for those who know the lore, the deep lore, but yeah, I don't have a clue. I don't know what's going on. It's just purely an interesting divergence in aesthetics from what is more familiar.
I don't know what this is, but I'll take it and run away.
Yeah, so am I. I don't have time to go through that anymore. But yeah, so the raid mechanics have been, I'd say, surprisingly bland. I was sort of hoping for a bit more of the novelty that we saw in the Ivalice series of raids.
Honestly, because it's Nier Automata, I was expecting a bullet hell style encounter all over the place.
You do that for several sections of the first dungeon and a few in the second one, but
okay, good.
It just amounts to red balls that have way bigger of a hitbox than they appear to, and they just add more no-no zones while they get shot across the arena.
And I got wrecked by one because they're not always bullet hell. Sometimes it is just a graphic on a cone attack.
Yeah, the first boss has a cone attack that just spews those baubles out. And for what I could tell, that stupid thing was a cone, and you cannot dodge the baubles.
Because I was trying to dodge them and I got wrecked.
Right.
So yeah, not particularly amused by that. But you can't have everything, I suppose. But yeah, they've been passable enough. I think Ari has been having less fun because the group that we were in was a bit special.
So one thing I will say for these raids that I haven't seen the other ones do, auto sorting the groups into their respective placements and where they're supposed to go, and dividing them up for each alliance to handle its own mini raid has been way more functional in this raid series than it has been in the other ones, despite our group being touched in the head.
Yeah. I think that they've got the sort of the right approach here, where they sort you, but they don't actually fence you off or anything like that. So you still have the freedom to move around and interact with the other alliances where necessary, but you are basically given an extremely strong hint that you should probably stand here.
Yeah, otherwise your healer can't reach you. And there are people that I swear have this idea in their head that healers have WoW level range on our spells. We don't.
No.
Number one. Number two, the other alliance healers are not going to spot heal you. Unless it's a dire emergency and they ain't doing anything else. They are not going to help another alliance group spot heal. Because most of our healer effects only affect people in our own party. So if you're in Group C you stay with Group C.
Unless you want to get smushed.
And if you are another Astrologian in a 2 Astrologian group and you start the dungeon as Nocturnal Sect and the other one is in Diurnal Sect, do not, right before the last boss, change to Diurnal Sect. And then when we get to the boss, we're both stuck in Hot Spec and effectively down to 1 healer.
Ew.
Because you can't change in combat.
Incredibly salty about that.
Because it makes one of us redundant at all times. There's no point in having 2 Astrologians in the same group, the same spec. They lose all of their aspected heals, which is their entire toolkit, because they cannot override each other, or they can't overlap with each other. They just override.
That's
So it's a total waste of a healer.
Yeah, just go and join another alliance that doesn't have an Astrologian.
Yeah, I'm so glad they're getting rid of the sex next expansion, because that crap pisses me off more than anything else when I'm playing my Astro.
That's what I mean when I say that the main reason people don't want to play Astrologian is they just don't know what Astrologians do, because they've got so many little barbs and sort of pitfalls that you can fall into that you don't know until they've bitten you in the backside. So, yeah, but
Yeah.
I've enjoyed having that variation in aesthetics, and the sort of like there's some really nice scale to some of the fights, like the fight against Ingalls. It communicates size very well, I feel.
Yeah,
and I think that the highlight really is like it's the Darfs, really.
yeah, the Dark story is really good.
Like the dwarves getting an opportunity to be in the limelight and be the primary participants in the dialogue have resulted in some very entertaining exchanges.
They were the only race while I was leveling up that I stopped and went and did the side quest for, just because I wanted to see what the dwarfs had to say. And the healer, the healer role quest is the best role quest because your buddy is a Darf. It's not even close, and it's all because of your little Darf companion. They're a real character.
Get rid of Lalafels. Nobody likes them. We have Darfs.
Well, the Darfs are Lalafels.
Don't tell them
Yeah.
that.
They're Lalafels with huge beards.
Yeah, the beard that are attached to their helmets or masks.
Yeah, but you
There's
don't. Don't
a-
tell them that.
There's a very hefty divergence in Lalafell culture between the source and the first.
Yes.
That I would love to replace all Lalafels with Darfs.
But you can't.
But yeah, so I think that that's really been the highlight, has been the sort of interactions and the clash of cultures and so on and so forth. But it's still they're fun enough. I like when they have a little bit more fun with the raids. I know it's, in a sense, it's supposed to be a serious story. It may be a bit more serious than the others in some ways. But yeah, like there's no math boss, for instance.
Yeah, there is no
Yeah.
calculator. There is, however, a boss that you can, if your group is touched in the head, just murder another group with.
Yeah, we had that happen. Like our group just got wiped out by another alliance because
dear.
they decided to point a huge, enormous laser beam at our group and annihilated us.
Yeah, the boss has those lineup stack up markers.
Oh,
that,
yep.
And there are 3 bosses, and each alliance has to fight their own little flight unit, and that's the boss. And occasionally, these things will, in each of the 3 groups, will target their group with a lineup laser marker, and this laser marker isn't confined to the area that your alliance is fighting. So if you don't do your stack up, and I was the stack up target, so I pointed ours towards the wall, like a good person.
Like you're supposed to.
Group B, however, decided we're just going to point ours right at Group C, and they had perfect aim. They hit everybody, but like the tank and one healer.
This is
Yeah.
the closest that RSTL is ever going to get to advocating gun licensing.
Well, our group was certainly on board with that. They were plotting to just spin the laser next time towards Group B to teach them all a lesson about halfway through the fight.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
was a lot of salt because they managed to just entirely annihilate an 8-man group in one fell swoop.
Yeah. This is
Yeah,
what being bad looks like, folks.
And the accuracy was so good, there was no way, there's almost no way that they didn't plan to just murder a group for funsies. They hit all of us.
They could just be that bad. That's also possible, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things though. While it was obnoxious at the time, it does become one of those stories that you can tell.
Yeah.
So, I'll grant it that.
It undid our touched in the head moments early when our entire group got knocked off the platform and I ran right off before the boss even got pulled. I think the group rallied and found a real sense of unity with that murder by Group B's hands.
I love mechanics like that. Yeah, okay, it's crap at the time, but you're right. It just creates stories. Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to tell that story before we forgot about it while we were on the topic, because that was certainly memorable.
Yeah, so the boss designs have been nice as well. I mean, a lot of it, like I said, is about variation on the aesthetic, and I've liked the music as well. The sort of the
remixes of the Nier stuff mixed with the Final Fantasy stuff.
Yeah, the blending of the two things together, I think, has been quite enjoyable. So yeah, I'm liking the raids. I just think that they had more room to be creative than they have actually been willing to use, which I find to be a little bit disappointing.
They also in these raids rely quite heavily on visual telegraphs, not telegraphs on the ground. So you got to really do them a few times before you really are going to jive with them and be able to do them without checking the video real quick.
Yeah, that seems to have been a trend in Shadowbringers particularly, is that there have been more and more abilities that will either not show you a telegraph at all, or will show you a telegraph way too late for you to start reacting.
Yeah. The first boss of Katana Revel sticks out, where he's got the glowy thing on the wall behind him and his arm glows. And that's just how you know we're not to stand.
Yeah, I think it's quite a well balanced implementation, the one that they have in the last Eden's Promise battle, where you need to know where you need to stand based on the attacks that are going to be used, but they still show you a telegraph for a second or so to give you a chance to make the fine adjustments.
Yeah. And some of the attacks in this raid do that, or these raids do that, but for the most part, you've just got to be where you're already supposed to be for most of them. Like, you're not dodging the pods on the second or third boss in Puppet Bunker, unless you've already found 2 lineup markers and are away from all the circles.
Yeah. But yeah, and it was it's amusing watching the sort of people who have realized too late that they have not evaded the yo-yos correctly on the final boss, and that's in Puppet's Bunker as well.
Oh yeah, we were sitting there, I was watching the whole group readjust, and there was that one ninja. I'm like, oh, that guy's just dead. He just got run the F over. It's very clear in these dungeons who has done this a million times and knows what they're doing, who is relatively new and competent but maybe makes a mistake here and there, who's their first time but they've at least watched the video, and who's never watched a video at all and is coming in here completely blind.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, a ninja can kind of just nope the occasional AoE.
Not that one.
Not that one?
Not that one.
Oh,
there is 2 boulders that are on the sides of the room, and effectively they hit everything on their side of the room, and they both zip across the room simultaneously, nearly instantly. But there's a tiny hole between where the boulders crack open, and where those 2 holes on the 2 boulders intersect is where you need to stand.
I see.
And everybody got there except for like that ninja, and he just got mowed over.
He got smooshed.
Yeah, so I've had fun with it. I also did a few of the Eden raids with Ari. I'll let him talk about that though. But yeah, I don't think I've done much else really. I did I mean, we got together and we did some Eureka and some and stuff like that last week, and I did some Bosnia as well, but Bosnia's just it's hard to
Yeah.
do by yourself. It's not you
Yeah.
can't do it by yourself, but you are constantly sort of walking this knife edge of everything going terribly wrong for you if you try and roam around there by yourself.
It's an uphill battle, and the fact that it's an uphill battle that requires buffs plus a grind plus unorthodox mechanics, I don't really like it from what I've seen.
Yeah, a lot of people just don't like the fact that you've got to learn yet another system.
Yeah,
But I
Like-
think that's one of those things that it's no big deal if you've been playing all expansion already.
yeah.
Yeah.
But this is prime comeback time, and people first getting their time from the mass exoduses of other MMOs and the new expansion about to come out. So tons of the player base right now hasn't been playing all Shadowbringers. And I think that would be fine with Buja if they just kept the sign up for the boss mechanic and kept the rank up system, but all the other crap piled on top of it is just too much for me to think of anything like that could be fun. I'm not doing that play solo, and I'm going to have to be in the right mood to do it with a group.
Yeah, I enjoy some of the boss fights. I've done a couple of them, and they're
Yeah,
quite fun
I've
to
done
do.
one.
And it's actually if you're with a group that are mobile enough to get from fate to fate in a reasonable sort of time frame, it's actually not too bad leveling experience. But yeah, there's a lot of conditions that need to be met before you can really get the most out of it.
Yeah. And yeah, like the first thing we would have to do is go grind the right map.
Yeah, that's rough because you can't keep up with anybody. And what ended up being for me is that you've got various zones in that are fenced off, and you've got everybody else has got the riding map, but you don't because you've only just started, and you end up in this awkward scenario where you need to get to a fate to make progress on your rank, but you can't get to the fate before it ends because everybody else moves faster than you, so you don't make any progress.
Yeah. I managed to get to the fates okay, but it was mostly luck. They just happened to spawn near me when I was killing the little Imperial dudes. I did not get many crystals for the riding map while I was farming them solo. It took way too long with my paladin, and I was scared to do it as my dancer because those things hit really, really hard.
You need 25 clusters, and the entire time I was in Bosnia, I got one.
Yeah,
I
got
don't even know how
one or
you
two.
get them.
You get them by killing very specific low-level mobs.
Right.
I see.
Or imperial aligned mobs. You'll see people pulling them together. They're the mobs you have to kill for the very first quest that says go kill 3 of these and 3 of these.
I see.
Those mobs and mobs related to those mobs.
At any rate, but this just only goes to show that there are a lot of awkward hidden rules.
Yeah. I had to Google that. That was not written down for me anywhere.
Right, well that explains why I didn't know it. I thought maybe I missed a dialogue box or something, but...
No, I saw a writing map on the vendor and said, how do I get these?
But yeah, so, I mean, a lot of people really enjoy doing it though, so I think that if you are with the wave, it's probably not too bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. But,
Put it on the to-do list for another weekend.
I would like to advance it though, because I do want to make progress on relic weapons, because I like the relic weapon as a concept. I just don't necessarily like the grindy circumstances that are required. Like I don't mind a bit of grind, but I don't like the sort of grind which you can't sort of settle into because you just might die at any second.
If
Yeah.
you really want to do the relic weapons next step, you can go out to all the Heavensward expansion
Well,
locations.
that's not what I'm concerned about. What I'm concerned about is that you need to advance through the area
Yeah, you do
in the
need to level up
storyline
Buja
because
too.
you need to do the dungeons and the bosses in there. And
Yeah.
I mean, those fights, people really like them. They think they're really cool. So there's obviously something to like there. But yeah,
There's
you've
a-
got to.
Buja's
got
got
to
an
get that far.
introductory. Yeah. It's got an introductory hump for jerseys.
Eureka, though, is a lot simpler.
By comparison,
By comparison.
Eureka, however, can get it's already getting very stale for me. I've done it 2 weeks now.
Yep.
I did it with Abo today, and we did our weekly challenges again, and the grind becomes a real grind at some point, and it frustrates me to no end when I'm the only person I know that's going to think like I do in a group, where I would be willing to let a fate go to get that stupid sprite challenge out of my log.
Yeah.
It things with specific weather conditions and time requirements bug the ever-living crap out of me, and it gnaws at the back of my head. So the whole time we were doing our everything, it would be like, oh, fate's up, and we have to go away and get it, and I'd immediately try and drag us back to the sprites before the weather changed, and I'd have to coax him over there, and we'd kill like 2 or 3, and then another fate's up, and I'd have to interrupt it, and I was like, so frustrating.
That's Eureka.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it because there's no way I'm going in there by myself. And if you've already done it this week, that means that I'd have to do it by myself, and screw that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll do it much more unless the relic weapons look really, really good.
Some of them do.
Because it was already wearing on me last week. I only did it because Abo pestered me.
Yeah. There's also 3 more levels of Eureka after that arena.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to do it, but I don't want to do it by myself. It's just it's a bit onerous.
It's a bit dull, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'll come help people if asked, but I'm not gonna go.
Well, which basically means that the only person on the planet who will ever do it is Abo, because you're the only person here. He's the only person you help because he's on at the convenient times.
But yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah. And you can also make people very angry very easily in your.
Yeah, we had a guy called Thanks Obama and his entourage going around, and he was pre-pulling every single fate.
Yeah.
And, like, as soon as his group got there, they would pull it.
Yeah,
and he had a healer with him.
It's polite in situations like that where if a fate's popped up and it's got plenty of time on it, wait around and let other people arrive before you pull it.
Like, I pre-pulled once at 28 minutes. But that's a war crime.
Yeah, you're only a little bit early.
That was the first one we really did. So
yeah, people get really mad when you.
Yeah, our entire raid instance turned into a ghost town because everybody left thanks Obama and his group.
Yep.
Because he wasn't even helping to kill mobs to prepare fate spawns. He was just him and his group were just going around and pulling crap.
Ugh. Yeah, you don't want to play with it. They just ruin the fun for everyone.
Yeah, well, it's hard to control in a zone like Eureka 2, and this is another thing that drives me nuts and makes me paranoid about the zone. Is you just don't know what of those 100 and however many people that instance can hold. 60 to 100 or something like that. Your chances of getting some douchebag group are not 0.
They're significantly higher than 0.
Yeah, and both the solo time I went in there very briefly, and the time I did today, and we had people that were pulling early consistently.
Yeah, I had my first run to Eureka, I had one of those around, and it was get to the fate and hope you get there first, because otherwise you're not getting full credit.
So yeah.
Yeah.
For the record, most instances pull at 27 or 27:30.
Yeah. All right, so that's Eureka. There is some cool stuff you can get out of it, like you can get the Anjanath mount. Let's just call it what it is. The pink Tyrannosaurus.
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah. You got one a lot quicker than I did.
You got what more than you did?
You got yours a lot quicker than I did.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's Aristeel. He never has to worry about anything which has to do with luck.
Yeah.
Unless it's our rolls in the raids lately, but I'll get them next time I do them. I'm positive. I got a feeling. But yeah, Abo got 2 T-Rex mounts.
Of course. Can you sell those?
Nope.
Boo.
But you can vendor them for 5,000.
Eh. Better than a kick in the face, then. All right.
Yeah. That place fills up your inventory with junk if you manage to actually do a few fates.
With fireworks, particularly. Fireworks and crap materia. There is actual good materia in there, but it's also really common. Yeah. Incidentally, if you do wind up with a whole bunch of Eureka materia, don't bother putting them on the auction house, just vendor them.
Yeah, it's worthless. And some of them vendor for quite a bit.
Yeah, they do. But you see a lot of people who put them up on the auction house for less than the vendor price.
You need them for your relic weapon for Realm Reborn relics.
Oh, dearie me. So yeah, didn't mean to start a tangent on Eureka, but
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure that the whole like queuing system that they've got going in Bosnia is a reaction to the sort of nuclear responses to people who don't wait long enough before pulling.
Yeah.
And,
I only had to be accused of a war crime once to not do it again.
It's only slightly hyperbolic.
I don't know.
Slightly.
They were pretty mad.
Oh, they're incredibly mad. Like, the salt is very real.
Well, I mean, nobody wants to hang around there, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Because at this point, they're trying to push through a grind as fast as possible. It's not current content, and they're not going to be benefiting along multiple axes while there most of the time, so...
Just want to get it done and get out.
Yeah, if all you want to do is level up, you need to just find a group and run around and do the fates.
Yeah.
And Animos is always packed with people because in this scenario that we're in, we're all at even level ranges, 2 levels apart, I think now, with 16, 18, and 20. All of us could go to Animos and still get EXP from the fates.
Yeah.
So everybody seems to be doing that with their friends, from what I've read, and that's why Animos is always packed, because everybody, no matter their level range, can do the fates there pretty much. So that's why there's so many, and why it's a war crime to pull early and make people waste their time there.
All right. Well, with that, it's probably time for a break.
Yes, we're on a bit of a tight schedule today.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Here's some music, folks. We'll be right back. And we're back. And we had
Yes.
left off. Yep. And we left off on a Eureka tangent with False Week.
Yeah, I don't really have much else to talk about. Like, I'm in a state of just sort of being vaguely frustrated, as usual, with the amount of free time I have, which there
Lack
isn't any.
thereof.
Yeah, because there's a very, very long list of things that I want to do in Final Fantasy XIV in an ideal world before the release of Endwalker, but in a practical world that won't be possible. But yeah, it's just it's irritating to me that I can only do so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be consuming the bulk of my free time for the foreseeable future. Although, when going back into Monster Hunter Stories 2 this afternoon, it's just reminded me that I need to actually decide on a gear set to farm up, because so another game in which I have to farm up a gear set because my gear is ridiculously out of date in Monster Hunter Stories 2.
At least
'Cause I didn't
the grind's not too long.
No, it's just a matter of you've got to work out where the monsters are that you want to farm and hope that they will actually spawn for you.
Yes. Sometimes that is a vain hope.
Yes. The tank in this group has the chocobo head,
And no pants.
no pants.
There's always one.
It's quite a
Yes.
spectacular amount of effort to go to get those no pants.
Is it?
Oh, he's got the teeny weeny thong?
No, he's got the tidy whities
Ugh.
with some kind of hosiery on his legs. I will share this abomination with everybody after if he stops moving around.
I wish I didn't have to see it.
But yeah, so I guess if that's all you got, we can move into my week. And my week doesn't add on much to yours, aside from the stuff you talked about last week. I had a much quicker time of it, because number one, I'm a healer. Number two, I did it on a Friday night. So there was no queue time for me doing the Eden raids, and I also did the Evilise raids. Got to see the story of OG Ramza's characters and their versions in this universe, or if it's the same universe, I don't know. But yeah, the Eden raids. The biggest clown show I had when I did it was Shiva, and it seemed like all but me and somebody else was getting thwacked by literally everything. But Shiva, unless you go slide off the edge or something stupid, it takes a lot to kill you in that fight. At least if your healers are awake. So that one was probably the biggest clown show with the most number of reses. Rama was easy. I should pull up the whatchamacallit, the list of dudes. Let's see. Pull up the wiki. And go to raids. Go to Eden to refresh
It's
my memory on all of them.
Not really that relevant to say they were easy, since this is the story mode version
Yeah.
of the boss fights.
Yeah, well, and it's late in the expansion. But the first boss, nothing too special with this boss. Whole lot of circle stuff. Vol already went over the other bosses. The seagulls, though, gave me personally the most trouble. And if this was still current content, I would need a few attempts to get that fight down. Even though I understood what the boss was doing,
It's not the
It's
same
so-
as being able to actually play it out in real time at the time that you need to.
yeah. The birds especially when the birds have light and dark elements on them, and you have to stand in the opposite one, and there's the portals, and they go laterally and horizontally. So that messed me up quite bad, and that would take some practice to get down. Garuda Frit seemed to have a thing out for 2 of the DPS in my group, so we were basically 2 DPS down the whole time because they just stood in everything. Everybody else was fine, just these 2 guys kept getting whomped. So that fight took a very long time with my group. And then there was Cloud of Darkness, who the little bumper ball thorny things at the corners and the cardinal points in the arena. For some reason, people kept getting hit by them and falling off.
Really? I've never seen anybody get hit by them.
Well, they don't move, so it's kind of hard. But they were
That's what
running
I'm
right
saying.
into
Yeah,
them.
I've never seen anybody get hit by them. It just doesn't happen. Actually, no, that's not true. I did once, although it didn't look like I was touching it on my screen, but I knocked myself off once when dodging that, the double circle overlap, where she
yeah.
triggers it from either side, and there's a tiny little space near the bumper that you can stand in, and I must have stood too close to it or something, and I got knocked off. But it didn't look like I was on my screen, but I must have been according to the server, so...
Yeah. So,
server sometimes has funny ideas.
So people kept getting bumpered off, but it was only in that phase that we had trouble. And after that phase, everybody was alive, and we were killing the boss just fine. For the last set of raids, I had a little bit of trouble at first with the shadow boss, and that was adjusting to the attack doesn't come from the shadow because it turns at a very right angle. And from Mistyke's description, and the angles she used at points in the video, I thought that the attack came from the shadow, not from the boss oriented in the direction of the shadow.
No, the shadow just indicates the true location of the butt.
Yeah. So it took me a while to adjust to that. The other bosses in the last one, the last boss I did have to do a write down for my first time. It turned out I didn't need to look at it afterwards, but writing it down helped me remember. And I just wrote down what all the cards do, and that got them stuck in my memory pretty good. So, like, Rama's run away, and then Leviathan is stand either in the hitbox or north or south of him, and then...
I just died until I could remember.
Yeah.
The one that I always have trouble with is Leviathan plus Garuda. For some reason, I would always get caught out by that one.
Yeah, you'd have to be on the edge of the cardinal point hit, but not in the Leviathan splash. So the window there can be pretty tight. But yeah, that fight took a bit of getting used to, but I didn't get killed at all. I don't remember if I died to any accumulation of raid mechanics or damage. I think I only died to instant death mechanics.
Right.
I've finally got a good angle on our chicken man so that I can demonstrate this to the wider world.
You're also playing a healer, so you saying that doesn't actually even say anything good about your abilities. Because if you're a healer and you die to any non-instant death mechanic, it's because you're a bad healer. So...
But yeah, well... It means I didn't get enough vulnerability stacks to get whomped. So, but I did.
You really haven't played a DPS properly in a very long time, and you die a lot as a DPS for reasons that aren't your fault, simply because you happened to have low health at a time where the raid-wide damage went out or whatever. Like, I've died a lot of times like that. The healers just aren't paying enough attention and don't keep up or whatever.
Well, a lot of times it's I have gotten in situations many times as at least an Astrologian healer where somebody is going to die because too many people screwed up the mechanic, and it can either be the tank or it can be one of the deeps.
It's always the red mage, despite the fact that the red mage is the most important one to keep up if somebody's going down. My experience is that people, if you aren't at the level yet where you have learned Verays, people insist on keeping you around to res. As soon as you've learned Verays, you will never be resed ever again.
That's right.
So the perversity of human behavior.
But yeah, it's in the fight you were somebody activate the lift early? No, we're all on it. But in the in the brain farting, the near automata raids we were doing, you were pointing this out to me. But in the fight you were pointing it out to me, the tank was dead, and we needed a third tank alive. So I was.
There are two healers.
Yeah.
2 people should be getting raised when the group has taken a lot of death suddenly, but it's always, usually the tank and some random DPS, usually the one with the least group utility. Like, my experience has been the first one to get raised is usually a samurai or a machinist who basically provide no benefit to their group whatsoever.
Yeah, it if only a couple people die, and it's a couple, and it'll usually be just whoever my cursor's closest to, or if it's DPS. If a tank goes down, they need to get up immediately. If a healer goes down, I'm gonna get them up, and I'm gonna hope they get the red mage up. But and then from there, it's just whoever I can get to in the frantic panic healing when you're down people that goes on. And we got the first boss of Puppet Bunker actually knocked us all off because we all had a moment where we didn't do the overlapping beams right.
We made a bet and we lost.
So our entire group, bar like 2 people, 1 or 2 people, died to the first boss. And
the first mechanic to go out, no less.
And this is how you knew this was going to be a great run. and so we all came back with 0 mana. And our tank kept dying to crap in that fight too. And I don't know if it was just a factor of him not being able to get enough heals, because the other healer kept dying. And then I kept dying near the end because I kept getting bought by the spinny laser. That boss probably killed me more than anything else in the raids and dungeons I've done this week.
But that boss is supposed to be trivial, Aristeal.
I could not get the timing until the very end with that spinny laser, the one that spins and slows down and then stops and then fires, that has the knockback. I could not get the timing on it, so I kept getting knocked off at the end. So I had no mana that whole fight to res people with, and was frantically drawing cards.
You Yu-Gi-Oh people in your cards. You're just like,
hey, they give us 800.
The group is in deep peril. Let's just play a children's card game.
Well, that's how we get 800 mana back every time we are in a turn. Throw. So if you ever see an Astrologian that just got res spamming their cards, that's why. But yeah, I don't really have much to say about the Eden raids, because I did them the same time I've done Alliance raids. I find the Alliance raids, in general, were much more difficult to learn the first time through and to do correctly. Because when you're doing the story mode of the primals and Eden and stuff, you only have to learn 1 boss at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's much easier to keep in your head immediately after you watch the video, especially with instant cues with a healer, like I did, than it was for the raids. Because all the raids that I did this week with the 25 people, or 24 people, I got hit by something probably every fight. Except for on the second boss of the first near dungeon, the Hobbs guy with the claws and the flame jets. I don't think I got hit by anything on him. But at
I
least
had a
got
reasonably
clipped by
good
something.
run there as well. I got clipped by one thing. I don't remember what it was, but I did get clipped by one thing.
You didn't decide to get rusty toasty like one of the people in our group.
It's always a ninja. It's always a ninja.
But yeah, I had a lot of fun with all of the raids. The Evil East raids, I'm trying to think of anything that really stands out in memory from the raids themselves. The sword boss in, I think, the last dungeon stuck out as the most ridiculous boss.
I was deeply traumatized by it.
Yeah. This boss has a very non-standard body shape, and telling what the heck his swords are pointed like, especially when he has 3 of them, and which one's pointed at you, is quite difficult.
Yeah, he got like a big beefy arm coming out the back of his neck there, like Trogdor.
And
sort of fun.
Yeah, and my group had to stand by one of the snake heads that held a sword. So it just got even more fun.
Sounds unnecessarily.
Yeah, it's he is all about animation telegraphs, not visual on the ground telegraphs.
Yeah, he's a much more obtuse and complicated version of the final boss of Puppet's Bunker.
And while I did not die very much on him, I think I died once. I did have to res more than I've ever res before. In the Shiva fight at the end of it, now that I think about it, I did have to ask the other healer to limit break 3. Because I fell over on Shiva to I think just a combo of damage going out. Somebody pointed something on top of the group, and then her big AoE came out, and I fell over, and so did most of the group because I was still picking people up in that fight, and everybody else had the reduced health thing. And so the other healer was somehow still alive, and I typed their name because I forget what it was, because that's the best way to get somebody's attention. Can you LB3? Or can you LB? Please? Please push the button. Because she was at like 20% or something.
I can't blame a healer for not immediately jumping to the conclusion they should hit LB, because normally if a healer hits LB, they get abused by the group. So
Yeah.
a lot of healers don't even put it on their bar most of the time.
They I asked them this and they pushed it. Like it was her and the tank, and that was it. Everybody else was dead.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the obsession is with reserving the limit break for the DPS outside of like Savage. Like why worry about it? Because it's much more important to have that insurance button if things go pear-shaped than it is to, you know, do 2% damage to the boss. We don't have strict enraged timers on normal.
Especially if the boss is nearly dead. You might as well just hit the limit break and finish it off.
Yeah.
No, because I think that's faulty logic, and it's the faulty logic that everybody uses. That, oh, well, if the boss is nearly dead, just hit limit break and kill it. Because
no, I mean, if the healer limit break, if you're wiping just before the boss is dead, you might as well just hit it and get the party back up and finish it.
Right. Well, I mean, what I'm saying is that the party does more damage than the limit break. I'm sorry. All of the DPS players who rolled DPS because they wanted to use the limit break, they should just, you know, give up on it, because I think it's more important if you are under an enraged timer at that moment, the damage limit break is not going to save you. Because if you use your damage limit break and the boss has 1 hit point left afterwards and decides to use a group AoE, well, I hope you're proud of yourself. You got to use the limit break and then the group wiped, which is invariably what happens in normal. So yeah, I don't care about the limit break going to damage. That's a policy for hardened rages only, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's very handy to have that thing available for a healer, so that they can just pick the group back up when things start to really go south. Especially if people are dying repeatedly and they've got multiple stacks of the res sickness thing.
Yep.
Like just do the healer limit break and cleanse that crap off of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, that's been my week. I don't really want to go much into the Eden stuff that I did, because it's just overlapping with what Vol talked about last week. But yeah, in general, I've enjoyed playing a healer. I've done healing for all of it because number one, the fast queues, and number two, it lets me do the mechanics with a role that can still reasonably take up enough responsibility to make sure the group doesn't fall over, but it doesn't add the tank mechanics on top of it, so I can see all the stuff first in a game I'm still not super de-duper comfortable with. I'm still getting used to Final Fantasy XIV's group content, especially because I haven't done much in-game content that's close to or at gear level. So the healer has felt really good for that. And I might main it for Endwalker for at least a little bit. I would like to tank, but Vol's already got a tank. So, number one. Number two, we need somebody to heal. And I'm the only one that sat down and figured it out.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at it. Like, I've really tried, I have. But I just don't seem to... I'm having difficulty with the sort of alien logic of being a healer. Because it's not like other roles. And as far as Final Fantasy is concerned, particularly, the difference between the tank role and the damage role is a lot smaller.
It's basically where the boss is facing.
Yeah, because in World of Warcraft, like I was able to pass in my peak. I was passing like top 10 tanks on server, and I actually held the top position on some bosses when Hellfire Citadel not Hellfire Citadel, whatever it was called. The raid which ends with that dude face, Archimond. I think it was that one. Or was it Kill Jaden? I don't remember. At any rate, I was really, really high passing tank on server. I'd pretty much mastered the role at that point in Mythic. And the tank logic is totally different to Final Fantasy. In Final Fantasy it is additional jobs, whereas in WoW tanking is its own job, or at least it was back then. Like your time while playing is pretty much occupied with mitigation techniques. It's all about stitching together a course of mitigation that will allow you to smooth out the damage spikes taking place during the encounter. In Final Fantasy, it's not like that. In Final Fantasy, it's a matter of surviving the things that attempt to kill you while still putting out enough DPS not to drag the group down. And that's more or less it. Once you've got your positioning down, it's all just about making sure that you can live through those worst moments.
Yeah.
And there are a lot more moments in Final Fantasy bosses. Like I would say every Final Fantasy boss is aiming to kill the tank, whereas in WoW there are a lot of bosses where the tank only dies through attrition or through failing a tank swap.
Yeah. As a healer, you get very used to looking out for your tank's cooldowns to know how much damage they're about to get busted by, and you try to gauge the first tank buster based on what cooldowns they have up to tell just how squishy this guy is. So you know
I don't know if that's necessarily wise, since a lot of tanks will not necessarily instinctively use a cooldown on the first tank buster because they want to see how their healer will react to them taking the damage.
Well, it's just it's actually best if they don't, because then we get a real good, easy to see idea of what their squishiness is like.
At any rate, I have been having trouble with the healer logic for a similar reason that I had to relearn the tanking logic in Final Fantasy, in that the healer isn't really supposed to heal in Final Fantasy. The healer is to prevent people from dying.
Yeah,
not to piece their health bar back together, just to keep it from emptying out. And that's the only thing that they do. If you're doing more than that, then you're over healing. So
I still overheal a ton. Like I'd say a good 25 to 40% of my healing is just overhealing.
Yeah, it's not like WoW. Like in WoW, if you're doing 20% overheal, that's pretty darn good.
Yes.
If you're doing more than 0% overheal in Final Fantasy, you're doing healing wrong.
When I say overhealing, I don't mean it's overhealing a health bar. I mean it's in the sense that I need everybody in the raid at all times over 60% health, because that's enough usually to survive the AoE blast. And if I got them over 80%, that's good enough to survive a single big hit attack that they just screw up.
Well, it's different when you're in a pug group and you know that you can't trust someone to use a group mitigation ability. Because if you were going to do like real content, you would be plotting ahead of time. Okay, you're going to use your one on the first one of these. You're going to use your one on the second one of these, and so on and so forth. I mean, it's why they are buffing those role mitigation things in Endwalker.
Yeah.
Because they are supposed to fulfill that function. But because at present they only work on certain damage types, the one that only works on physical doesn't have a use, because virtually every raid-wide damage is a magic ability, and they're the things that those abilities are for, is to try and mitigate that sort of stuff, supporting
those
mitigation.
together now, aren't they?
No, they're not.
They're
just giving a secondary effect to them, so their primary function will still remain the same, but they will have a secondary function which has a weakened version of that effect against inappropriate types of damage. So you still will want to place them for the particular kind, but it's not going to do nothing anymore. There are lots of fights where all of the damage is basically magical, apart from auto attacks, and that basically means physical mitigation abilities sort of disappear. They don't really exist, and that's what they're trying to hedge against.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah. I'm settling into the healer role quite well, and we'll probably stick with it.
I really do want to learn it. That's sort of why I'm dabbling in White Mage in our Palace of the Dead runs and so on, because I want to get a feel for knowing where those buttons are and what will happen if I press them and what will happen if I don't press them.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand the healing logic very well.
I can tell you right now, if I wasn't healing on controller, I wouldn't be healing. It is such a different mind switch that's very hard to describe when you plug in a controller and switch healing. But it puts the targeting for healing in the periphery and lets you focus more on what you're actually doing because you don't have to remember placements for your buttons and which heal is where. It just kind of becomes intuitive with a controller. You know what combination of buttons does what. It's at least I developed that muscle memory way better and faster with a controller. So it's been way easier.
When I did it, I had to use a mouse. It was just night and day. So many easily accessible buttons.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't do my targeting on using the mouse when I can help it. I use my function keys for that because I'm always going to click the wrong place if I use the mouse. Like I'm a very, very inaccurate clicker, generally speaking. Like it takes me ages just to do regular stuff on the computer, like navigating a web page or whatever. Because I'll go to click a link and I'll just click a totally wrong place because I can't aim to save myself.
Yeah,
I'm just bad with machines.
Yeah, it's switching to controller has been a life changer. Even before I had to use an MMO mouse and do targeting shenanigans, either with Healbot and WoW or with other keyboard targeting with the with SWTOR and stuff to to make healing even something that I could do. But the controller has really just made it all click. It just happened almost immediately. I thought it'd take a lot longer because I'm not a good healer normally, but the roll clicked really fast, and I was really surprised. Right. Now, juggling your cards, your party buffs, your heals, and still trying to do damage to the boss while also avoiding the mechanics, that's still in progress. Getting better, but not quite there yet.
Yeah, that's the only thing is that will come with practice.
Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah, I've gone on long enough. We should probably move on to the email.
Which we does has. Do I read it, or do you guys?
It's Fern game to read it. Oh no, we've got a cutscene. I don't know how long it is, but
it's pretty long.
All right, go for it then.
So, from our good buddy Seraphis, as per usual, dear No Excuses, it's that time again. The Mad Max-esque total conversion for Doom, it also runs with Free Doom, had its second episode released, along with a remastered episode 1. Ash's Afterglow has everything you need in a post-apocalyptic FPS. Raiders with neon green spiky hair wearing studded leather vests, cannibalistic mutants and mutated animals. Desolate landscape either in the tunnels of the underground or the bombed-out shell of what used to be Atlanta. You mean current Atlanta?
Yeah, you just mean Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you could tell the difference.
Yeah, I mean, Marta's just not that great. Protagonist riding a motorcycle and looking badass, and an original soundtrack to tie everything together. You can buy it on Bandcamp, which I did. Nice. While episode 1 is completely linear, episode 2 has a Dark Souls-like, we're back here again, level structure where paths loop back into themselves and are interconnected like Hexen. There are also side quests that further flesh out the setting, craftable upgrades for weapons, and tons of secrets to explore. Still with me? Okay, I have also finished Death Wish for Blood. Just mentioning this one because of the level design. It simply blows everything out of the water when compared to mods and even some retail games, whether I'm comparing it to Doom, Quake, or both Half-Lives and Black Mesa. The only downside is the janky build engine combat. I'd legit finance a port to the GZ Doom engine. And finally, Epic Battle Fantasy 1 released on mobile after some 12 years. Sure, it's the weakest entry in the series, there is no overworld, just a series of battles, but at least this version has checkpoints, so you don't have to start from wave 1 if you lose or close the game. Also, new soundtracks, not made by the usual composer. The rest of the EBF games are coming soon, so if you want some fun, silly mobile games that are not a mixture of gacha, waifu, idol, and empire building, go give this a shot. Seraphis.
Funny you should mention empire building. I saw the latest entry in the Epic Battle. No, sorry, not the Epic Battle. See the Doom and Destiny series, which is another one that Seraphis really likes. Which I've been meaning to play it, and I've never gotten around to it. But for some strange reason, it's just the same protagonist, except now they have amnesia and playing Harvest Moon or something. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm here to tell you, Atlanta doesn't need help looking like a bombed-out shelter. just to give you some context, in MARTA, our subway system that sprawls out from Atlanta, my engineering drawings done in MS Paint by me, not an engineer, are in the folder somewhere that they have printouts for the design documents for that tunnel.
That's disturbing.
That's how sketch you're looking at with the Atlanta infrastructure.
When MS Paint is the highest quality you can expect.
Not my fault. I wanted weird stuff and we didn't have the drawings for it, so I had to make it.
You should have charged him a few $1 million like an engineer.
Oh, engineers.
Alright, so, yeah. Yeah, need more Doom, honestly. You know what, maybe we should put a bit of Doom Bandit on. I don't know, we'll figure something out.
Yeah, we had it at one point and it was on the to-do list, but it got pushed off at some point.
I just fell off like. So yeah, the EBF games, Epic Fantasies, are all very, very silly. I'm actually kind of amazed it took 12 years for the first one to come out on mobile. Because it's, what, Flash?
I remember them existing, if that helps.
I remember this is the game that has an achievement for poking your boobs.
Yeah, I never sat down and played one, so. Oh, we lost Fall.
Did we? Oh, boo. So, thanks for the emails there, is this? Yeah, I don't know. I'll look into it, see what I can maybe figure something out. Not Doom Eternal. You know, classic Doom. Requires science.
Yep, his internet took a poop.
Oh. Are we going to get him back?
I don't know.
Right. We should just carry on in the meantime.
So we can prep the next topic and give him... He's typing to me. Oh, someone broke the router while vacuuming. He also got kicked out of our Praetorium group, which is lovely because we're on Ultima.
Oof. You got to get back in time in order to...
No, it's already replaced him.
Wow, that's quick.
Unless Val's the Dark Knight.
Oh? Maybe?
I don't know if he went in as a Dark Knight or if he went in as one of the healers. So yeah, he's been broken while somebody was vacuuming apparently and did something that broke the router.
Yep. My router is going to take a good 15 minutes for the internet to...
Yeah. Oh, no, okay, temporary borked.
Ready, Bork?
Yep, I think he's back. Pickle.
Oh. Nope.
No. It's gonna do its slow boot up.
All right.
So,
we should move on to
dead
some
air.
news, and he can just join in when he's back.
Yep. So, okay. We'll do some small news that I don't know if he'll have much to say about in the meantime.
Alright, do it.
From Software has actually announced a sizable delay for once.
Speaking of Dark Souls games.
This is a good thing. Because FromSoft has notoriously released buggy, messy games at launch. They get most of their bugs patched in a bug fix patch about 2 weeks after launch. And then there's still a buggy mess afterwards with tons of exploitable garbage in them. So them taking the time to actually iron out some of the bugs, and I don't doubt because they're doing the much bigger world type of thing that this is why they're doing it, is a very good thing.
Yep. Incidentally, I believe I got a beta. Gonna have to have a look at that.
Yeah, that's the other part of this this story. Then to make up for it, they are doing server stress tests and letting people get on and play much earlier than we thought they would with beta keys. So we'll soon have a whole lot of information about that. I am interested to see what they do with it. It's in the likely buy category for me but we will have to see, because when it comes to a FromSoft game, you just never know at launch. Like,
Yeah, it could go either way.
The PC version, anything. This is not a ported version. This is the original version of the game, but all of their ports have had issues initially that have needed fixing.
Putting it mildly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wasn't it one of those games for a while that basically leaned entirely on community patches in order to function at all?
And then they stole all the functionality from a community patch, applied it to the base game, and resold it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, their porting style is quite bad.
Pretty scummy FromSoft.
Yeah. So them going out of their way to actually put some playtesting in this time, though, so that we don't have to wait around on bugs to get fixed that break quests and can ruin whole playthroughs. And when your playthrough gets ruined on your first playthrough of a Souls game, it really hurts. Especially if it's not your fault. Because those games are fairly challenging, relatively speaking, and they require a time commitment to learn the bosses and learn where everything is in the world and get around and do stuff. And when your save gets broken because the game bugged out, that's not a good feeling. And you can't 100% the file. So I'm quite happy they're taking their time with it. As long as they don't go down the ever delay chain like Cyberpunk did, and we wind up with another Cyberpunk.
Yep.
I wonder if this boss will kill me if I start fighting it now.
Were you the Dark Knight?
Yes.
Okay, it said viewing cutscene. For you the whole time you were disconnected.
Yeah.
I'm just going to pull the boss. How far through the cutscene are you guys?
La Habre is still laughing.
Oh, that takes a while then.
Like, it just exploded, so we got to go through the whole monologue.
Seriously, La Habre can monologue. I'm glad he's dead.
Oh no, this was a bad idea. This is a very bad idea.
Let's just, well, yeah. Speaking of bad ideas, let's just move on to Blizzard Watch.
So we have 3 news stories from Blizzard that have gotten out. Yeah, I'll go through these in an order that I think makes sense. Y'all may or may not agree. So we'll start with Blizzard getting caught out doing more dumb crap.
Dude, like.
So the current co-head of Blizzard, Mike Ybarra, his guild got caught selling raid boosts.
Yes.
Is that actually against TOS though?
I don't know. There are a lot of people arguing it right now, and I don't know what the TOS actually says. Yeah, it says selling in-game items and services such as carrier boosting for real money is not allowed. However, selling items and services for gold is allowed.
Money, no. Gold, yes. Okay.
Yeah, although for some reason it says that can only be advertised in the trade channel and not in the group finder. Yeah, because that's going to stop people. But yeah, his guild got caught out selling this, and this has sparked a debate about those things with people in the WoW community, which is surprising. But yeah, that's a sign that something's gone wrong if boosting services are in your game. Something has gone horribly wrong with A, the economy, and B, the player mindset if raid boosting is even something that's considered.
Yeah, it's just when there's content that people just want to outright skip.
Yeah, it also means people don't give a crap about the content you're actually putting out, and they just want to increase their numbers.
Yeah.
Well, also, it's also partly due to the fact that to be a booster is very lucrative, because a lot of them aren't doing it for real money. They aren't involved in the real money trading thing. They just want enough gold to actually get by when the market, the gold economy is so ridiculously inflated that you've got to basically use whichever get rich quick scheme you can get your hands on.
Yeah. And in that sense, I understand it. I still think it's really scummy because it hurts the game.
It hurts the game for sure. It's just that it's Blizzard's fault, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's at the end of the day, this is Blizzard not managing their economy and not managing.
And they are actively being part of the problem rather than the solution as well.
Yeah.
Again.
So, in any hope people might have had of them finding ways to curtail this in the future or do something about this to make it so it's against TOS in the future or anything, no, all that's out the window.
It ain't happening.
It is fully endorsed by the co-head of Blizzard.
Yep.
In fact, more than endorsed, it is participated in by the co-head of Blizzard, or at least his guild. I don't know if he actually was. And what's more, he was proud of it. He advertised on Twitter that his group was selling runs and that he was going to stream it. Like a tard?
Well, basically, he probably thought that would make him look more like a player.
Yeah.
Like the thing is that I don't think this is against TOS as it currently stands, and I think that the upshot of all that is that there's not really any clear policy. There's there's going to be a lot of misunderstanding on the part of both players and Blizzard as to what the broader effect of this is on the game.
Yeah.
And honestly, he's not a game developer. He's not a systems developer or anything like that. He's just the CEO. And there's not really any special reason to believe that he has a clear comprehension of just how corrosive what he does is to the game. Because, I mean, it's very easy to take sort of like a laissez-faire point of view to the whole thing and say, oh, well, I mean, people are free to play the game the way that they want. If people want to pay gold to be boosted through content, then that's their business, that's their gold. Not to mention, they might, in order to afford the service, throw a few dollars Blizzard's way for their token. But, yeah, it's like they probably view it as a sort of a everybody wins situation as opposed to the actual situation, which is everybody loses, just a matter of timescale.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think that the reason why boosting has become such a tumor in World of Warcraft is because Blizzard doesn't understand the meaning of it. Just period. Just doesn't understand how it affects the game. They just think it's a non-entity. And I don't know whether or not they're going to get the feedback they need from the debacle that Ibarra has caused. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, maybe they will and it won't matter because Blizzard still doesn't listen to people. It's sort of hard to tell.
It'll be that one.
But, yeah, I mean, I'm put in mind with a clip I saw of Preach watching some interviews with Yoshi P, and they're sort of discussing the amount of attention that the producers give to their fans, and Preach gets in Blizzard's corner and says that, oh no, you guys in the chat, because he's a streamer, so he's conversing with his chat, and the chat is saying, oh well, I mean, people have a lot more faith in the development of Final Fantasy XIV because their developers are so communicative, and Yoshi P in particular so communicative with the player base. And Preach is like, well, yeah, that's sort of true, but not really, because the World of Warcraft development team did get a lot better at communicating with figures in the community toward the end. And then he appends to that oh yeah, I talked with them a lot. I was able to talk with them a lot. It's just that they didn't agree with me about anything until people started to leave.
Yes.
Which is the problem, really. It's not a lack of communication. That's not their problem anymore. The problem is that they don't have any respect for those opinions whatsoever.
Yep. So not a whole lot of good your communication is going to do if your communication doesn't go anywhere. You can communicate the problem to Blizzard all you want and things that need to be done, and if they don't care, then they don't care.
Yeah, there's no guarantee they'll listen. You can usually just tell the difference when you see two responses. Like, on one hand, you've got Blizzard's responses to a player base, which is usually something corporate, generic, and slightly arrogant. Whereas Yoshi P's just happy to sit there and just shoot the shit.
Yep. So that's Blizzard news number 1. Blizzard news number 2. Overwatch's McCree was renamed to a porn star.
Yes, Cole Cassidy. It sounds like a very generic cowboy name. Fine.
Yes, unfortunately, people decided to Google it and they found out that Cassidy Cole is a female porn actress.
Yep. So, well done, Blizzard. You didn't take the.
Why didn't you use Google?
Your name of the character.
Like
Why?
you have a situation where your decisions made in the giving the name of a character has caused a PR disaster. In this situation, what you want to do is look for a way to change the name such that the new name is not a PR disaster. So perhaps it should have crossed their minds to type their new name into Google before they started.
No, can't have that.
Can't have that, and this is the result. And it's
Like,
delicious.
this is one of those explaining to retards moments.
Yeah.
I mean, a small child would have been able to tell them this. Has Blizzard not learned to hire a small child yet?
Yeah, that's the shtick, right? You're supposed to get a generic 6-year-old to check over all your decisions if you're an evil genius or whatever.
Yes.
Because they'll see the obvious holes in your plot that you don't because you're so enamored of your own intellect.
Yeah. If it doesn't pass the small
Which
child
pretty
test,
much Blizzard in a nutshell, really, isn't it?
Yeah. They just can't do anything right, and it's just sad at this point.
Yeah, they're bad at their jobs. That's the short version. They're bad at their jobs, and they deserve what they've got coming. To be honest, like I don't have any strong feelings about. Oh well, I mean, McCree was a scumbag, therefore we need to remove references to him from the game. Since I don't think that any real fan gives much of a toss about the fact that McCree's name is in there. Once it's in there, it's just a name. Nobody cares.
Yeah, it was also a fairly generic cowboy name. So.
But even so, like. I don't know. I don't know where I'm really going because it's just so mind-bendingly stupid. Everything they do is so stupid. I can't wrap my brain around it. It's just frustrating to think about. They're so bad. They're so bad at everything they do now, and it's all because they got convinced that they weren't retarded. We know that that's not the case. We can see it. It oozes out of everything they do that they're not competent. But yeah, I guess there's nothing doing now, really. They're just going to carry on screwing up everything they touch because they know best. Right, guys?
Yeah, so
in
their continuing purge, it's just, and this is also in their continuing purge of anything related to this lawsuit and their attempts to appease a group of people that'll never forgive you, is the whole reason for the rename in the first place. Not that anybody plays Overwoke anymore, but it's just, it hurts so much.
Yeah, the bad is real. Like they mismanage everything, and they don't. It's not a matter of mismanaging because they're making poor decisions. It's a matter of mismanaging because they're stupid and bad at their jobs. Is what it comes down to. It's not. It's not something that couldn't be avoided. It's not something that was down to chance. It was because they selectively made the most idiotic possible decisions at any point in time because they think that they're infallible and because they aren't serving their true master. They aren't serving the customer. The customer hasn't entered into their thinking at all. It's even when they're trying to groom their PR, they're not trying to groom their PR from the perspective of the people who play their game. They're trying to groom their PR for the sake of their shareholders. That's their number one priority, is to appease their shareholders. And I mean, I'm here to tell you that if Bobby's behaviour has taught me anything, it's that the shareholders don't give a toss about anything other than the size of quarterly growth. Like, they want to see their investment make money. They don't give a toss if there's a cowboy in a game who's named after a guy who may or may not have said something bad one time.
And speaking of which, that's a good segue into the next Blizzard news.
Right.
Because the ride never ends.
Yeah. So, do you guys remember when me and Vol said the first week this lawsuit came out that this looked hella sketch?
Oh yeah.
We were
I don't know which one we're talking about here.
the Blizzard lawsuit in general.
Oh, the whole thing
Yeah.
broadly, right? Yeah.
So
because there were no names and no specific accusations, just a lot of innuendo.
yep. So Blizzard has filed a motion that seems to have some credibility. Where is it? Okay, it's a conflict of interest claim. I'm trying to find it. I lost it in this article.
Oh right, this is the one about how the lawyers, the settlements are now on the side of the people suing over the settlements not being sufficient, or something like that.
Yeah.
I remember hearing something about it. I don't remember the fine details.
Yeah, the two lawyers leading the DFEA, the California People's case, previously worked for, or leading the case currently going against them, previously worked for the settlement firm that worked with Blizzard before. And during those times, they investigated Activision Blizzard in relation to claims during that particular settlement, which I forget what that settlement was all about. But basically, the two lawyers that are prosecuting Blizzard have already interacted with the company in a legal manner before as an intermediary, and that's not allowed.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be crossing some legal ethics lines that is going to result in either a dismissal of the case or possibly a disbarment of the lawyers involved if they're really unlucky.
Yeah, because this means
if they can nail this down to like real malfeasance, like a deliberate, premeditated attempt to subvert the situation, then those lawyers are going to lose their license.
These lawyers will have had opportunities to go to Blizzard, to dig up information, to talk to other employees at the company, and maybe round them into pursuing this in some way. There's a million ways that Blizzard could have been compromised by just these individuals that are pushing the case. And given that no name is given in the initial lawsuit and there is no hard charge against any individuals, it's not at all impossible that we're looking at a what's a good word I'm looking for? A lawsuit filed by people that didn't have the best interests of justice or Blizzard in mind. So yeah, I think this is actually more than likely, given that nobody was named in the initial lawsuit. That's the biggest red flag. The fact that they cannot call any specific example of sexual harassment from one employee to another and write it down in the lawsuit. They didn't have anything hard enough to go with that. Says there's something sketchy going on.
Yeah, I don't know that it's sketchy so much as the hell is that?
Is that?
That
sounded
a very unhappy sounding cat.
Yeah, that was a cat somewhere.
Right, angry cats.
Yeah, yeah, it's a noise I hear on the regular lately. But yeah, the case was all predicated on the idea that don't you worry, just as soon as we get our way, we'll be able to provide you with all of the details. And I don't think it's necessarily that they're starting out with a shady attempt to try and subvert the course of justice in a way that will be convenient. I think it's more that they have a very strong feeling that something shady went on there, and in all likelihood it did. It's just that those types of things are extremely difficult to demonstrate, and they're just sort of hoping that they won't need to somehow, because when you're talking about say, oh well, we've got a case of discrimination here where someone was passed over for promotion because they were female. Like that's one of the allegations that is being floated, is that they've got biases in their promotion mechanisms as a result of their sexism in the company, and so people aren't getting the professional progress that they are entitled to based on their contributions. The thing is that how could you ever prove that? Because whether or not someone gets a raise is always discretionary. There's no way for it to be otherwise. It has to be like that. So how are you ever going to be able to show that? The most that they can really do is, make the innuendo that this is in fact the case, and hope that they can get to discovery and dig up enough information to support this for at least one specific case. Because they're fairly confident when it went on, and maybe it did. Maybe they've got some inside testimony which is just makes it obvious that this was the thinking taking place inside Blizzard. They might have like some kind of chat logs or something, but they don't have names associated with them or something like that. I don't know. There's lots of those situations where it's just they don't have a legal leg to stand on, and they're just sort of hoping that they'll be given a special pass rather than having to meet the sort of standards that anybody else would require because of the current climate, which sort of tends to encourage that type of, kangaroo courts, basically.
And given that it's a California judge, it's entirely possible they'll get away with it.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see, but it just makes this even weirder that this lawsuit is the way it is. I don't have any faith in Californians in general. Sorry if you're from. Sorry, not sorry that you're from. If you're from California.
My condolences if you're from California. You probably never had a chance.
Yeah, it's that lot just ain't a whole lot of trustworthy people on any side. So, yeah, there probably was inappropriate stuff going on at Blizzard. Yes, there was also probably nothing that was legally actionable happening at Blizzard, and this is a malefic lawsuit.
Yeah, well, it's just too convenient. It's too convenient that Blizzard gets on the back foot and suddenly all of this comes out of the woodwork looking to hammer some nails into that coffin. Like, there's no way that there's not a money dimension to this somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the people who are the complainants are necessarily motivated by money, but I think the people that are pushing this case are probably motivated by money in some way.
Yep. So yeah, that's your roundup for more the Blizzard's train that never ends this week. It will continue, I can assure you.
Oh, most definitely.
And we will continue to report on Blizzard being Blizzard until we get bored with it, basically. So yeah, that's Blizzard, and that's I got one more small thing in there, but it's not really worth bringing up. It's just me complaining about DLC.
Yeah, we've done that plenty. All right, in that case, we should wrap up.
Yep, Fern's got to run. So closing comments go.
Anyone else have a new job? I need a new job.
Well, at least you aren't likely to be fired from yours simply due to not having a vaccination.
No, that's true.
My country's leaning hard in that direction, and basically Jacinda has become either an idol for worship or a devil to be reviled in the eyes of pretty much everybody.
You're heavily leaning towards the latter, I see of it.
Yeah, I don't, New Zealanders seem to have a very strange perspective on what's actually going on, which doesn't seem to bear any relation to the real world.
Yeah, it's scary looking what's going on over there.
Yeah, they've basically they've removed from the table any prospect of not being under lockdown. Like, there is no way to switch off the lockdown in the system that they're implementing. So there are also rumours floating around that there are parts of their new policy aren't actually codified in law that are mingled with ones that are, in the hopes that they can sneak some of the illegal things in under the aegis of the things that are legal.
Oh dear.
Yeah, and your country ain't much better, Fern. In fact, if you go to South Australia, it's worse.
We don't talk about it. Even when things are going well. But things are slowly starting to become sane again. At least until the next big disaster.
Well, in the inland areas, yeah, maybe. The
inland
coastal areas
remain sane. It's never gotten out here.
To some extent, you basically just got to kind of hope that the new Premier of New South Wales isn't a madman. I mean,
That's it.
he's going to be largely hated regardless because he's a practicing Catholic. So the media are going to destroy him. What he actually thinks or does won't matter, but the media are going to decide they're going to kill him. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he's like as governance. I just happen to know that he's a practicing Catholic, and the Australian media has traditionally hated practicing Catholics.
Even non-practicing Catholics. It's a bit bonkers, actually. Yeah, they keep trying to crucify Morrison just because he holds Catholic ideas. Anyway, that's getting politicky. Don't want to do that.
Yeah, the press is bad everywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what area you're talking about, whether it's politics or video games or anything else. It doesn't
Press
matter
is
what country
awful.
you're in. The press is awful everywhere.
Yep.
Yep.
Anywho,
Alrighty,
let's
folks.
get out of here, shall we?
I think we're about done. We'll see y'all next week. Sayonara. Bye bye.